My name is George Wegman. I've been diving around the beautiful tropical islands of the Philippines for over 25 years. Even as a child, I was fascinated by the fantastic creatures and the amazing shapes and colors you see underwater. In the course of my career as a diving instructor, I have noticed that divers encounter so many things underwater that after the dive they have difficulty remembering what it was they exactly saw. Also, since we tend to focus on the larger animals like turtles and tunas, we overlook the small, well-hidden creatures that make up the bulk of a coral reef's population. With this video, we would like to show you a sample of the marine life in the Philippines. The film is divided into 5 segments, each showing a different view of the animals on the reef. Depending on where you are, the same animal can be known under different names. This can be very confusing. That is why we have included the scientific family or species names. This way you can look up these animals in any fish book in any language. The more we learn, the more we enjoy. This philosophy has allowed me to retain my sense of wonder and curiosity after more than 2,500 dives. The more I dive, the more I appreciate the amazing variety of life forms in the oceans. 50 years ago we didn't have the scuba gear, and 50 years from today we might not have the animals. So let's go diving now, and let's enjoy the beautiful marine life of the Philippines while we still can. This is what a healthy coral reef looks like. It is the home of all the creatures we'll be meeting. But our story doesn't quite start here. It starts in murky water. Any living thing drifting in the current is plankton. These mostly tiny particles are the beginning of the food chain. This is where the cycle of life begins. Plankton is food for many creatures, both small and large. Plankton is essential for life on our planet, not just as food in the water, but also because it produces oxygen. Did you know that most of the oxygen in the atmosphere is produced not by rainforests, but by plankton? Many people can't imagine that these rock-like structures are alive, but they are. The outside of a coral is covered with tiny little holes. In each hole lives a tiny little animal. These animals are called polyps. It's like an ant's nest or a bee's hive. Of course, it's not the rock that's alive. The rock is their home. Polyps are constantly enlarging their homes, which become a coral reef. This is built from calcium carbonate filtered from the water. Only 2 structures made by living beings on this planet are visible from space: the Great Wall of China and the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Like fields of flowers, soft corals can give a healthy reef beautiful shades of colors. Their name derives from the fact that they have no stiff limestone skeleton. Soft corals are also known as octocorals, due to their 8 small feeding arms, unlike the 6 that hard corals have. These polyps filter out organic materials from the current. All corals live in a symbiosis with algae called zooxanthellae, which also provides them with additional nutrients. These algae are also responsible for the magnificent colors we enjoy about corals. "450 million years ago, the most dominant life form on Earth were sponges. These multi-celled sessile animals are among the most efficient filters in nature. To filter out its food, a barrel sponge pumps thousands of liters of water through its body every day. So they not only help keep your dishes clean, but also the oceans. Only a few kinds of sponges have definite forms like the barrel sponge. This can live to 100 years and grow to over 1.5 meters. Sea squirts are also known as ascidians. Amazingly enough, they are classified as vertebrates because they have a vestigial spine. They occur either individually or in colonies. Sea squirts use tiny hairs to pump water through their bodies. Any organic particle then gets filtered out as nourishment. Sea squirts take on strange shapes and usually bright colors. One way to identify them is that they pucker up whenever you touch them. One of my dreams in diving has always been to find a pearl in an oyster. This hasn't happened yet, but looking at oysters and clams has revealed to me a different kind of treasure. The soft fleshy tissue at the lip of their shells contains colonies of the algae Zooxanthellae, which are brilliantly colored. If you have a good light, this is a sight you will never forget. Giant clams can grow over 1.5 meters across and may live to be 200 years old. Although they might appear to be plants, gorgonians are animals. A good way to judge the direction of currents in an area is to look at the way they grow. These soft corals look very similar to sea fans, and like all corals, are filter feeders. They can grow up to 3 meters across and come in different colors. One way of describing fire coral is to call them jellyfish that got tired of swimming around. They reproduce themselves in the same manner. Also, these coral-like animals have specialized defense polyps with the same stinging cells as jellyfish. They can grow in a variety of shapes and forms, but are always brownish-red with white to beige tips. It is a good idea not to touch any kind of coral, especially this kind, unless you want to find out firsthand how it got the name fire coral.